this in the sense of like we just have a lot of people who come in and out of this area. I mean, which is crazy. Like, it just doesn't seem like a place where so many people are coming through, but like, yeah, I feel like it's important to note, like, they did have 1,600 other people at some point who had an active cart at some point. So like, I mean, for me, like I said, 1,600 other people have used this library at some point. So, yeah, it's not necessarily always, it's not the same 100 and some odd people every year. I mean, there are definitely people who are like avid readers.
Did the supervisor seem to appreciate the facts here about the numbers and all that? Who was the supervisor?
It was the,
Jackie.
she started as a clerk.
Jackie started as a clerk, like, when she first started, now she's a supervisor.
Sullivan.
Oh, so,
Okay.
I don't know what.
Is she aware of the numbers, do you think?
I mean, she was listening to the numbers, but she still seemed, I don't know, it seemed like she still thought they were
Janelle
okay.
Stewart, okay.
And that was my feeling.
Okay.
Or if not now, then they were overpaying to begin with. I think we were overpaying to begin with, but now it seems fine. And I don't
Still
want it to
too
go
high, but acceptable maybe.
something like that.
Yeah.
But again, I didn't see what data she was basing that on.
Okay, so we're not deciding anything.
No, yeah, that's why I said, it kinda seems like we're at a.
Yeah, I think our subcommittee will continue to discuss. Does that sound right, Josh?
Yeah.
Maybe not immediately.
No, we can give it some time to cool off. But do we wanna meet with other trustees individually? Do we wanna try to get the other three in a group? Well, they can't all three meet, cause that would be a quorum, but.
There's 5.
I believe so.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we can just discuss that
Okay.
in our subcommittee, I think. Right?
And could you try to find when it was increased from 35 to 40? And maybe if there's any discussion of the
Yeah.
rationale for that?
Of our subscription cards. Okay.
Because if they do, points at.
Okay.
I
Okay.
really appreciate all this work and information. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, all right. So, that concludes old business. No items of new business this month. And so that brings us to visitor comments, second section about, general. The general visitor comments, please, share them.
I do have a comment.
Okay.
On the whole discussion of the township, I mean, I agree being a good neighbor is a great policy, and obviously, oh, you stood up, and I just started babbling.
It's not standing.
Yeah, I just wonder about the fact that, I don't mind that we pay more, I understand, but when we're increasing steadily, they are now paying less than they paid 2 years ago, and we're now paying $2 more. I mean, I am looking at as of they don't have to contract with us, and it would be a loss to the library if we lose their contract, because that is funding, and money is money. But also to look at them and be like, okay, we raised. It's hard to see that like we're increasing, and they did increase, but then all of a sudden they decreased by 50 cents. Both of them decreased by 50 cents and we increased by $1. It just seems like I don't believe it should be equal, because I do think then they'll just be like, no thanks, and leave, and again, the library is who loses. But also that just seems like oof. And my other question is, I know you can't reset, so I'm hoping you can like after the meeting, but now that like the position of the children's library is open, should the Friends be promoting an open library board seat? Like, is that like, because we have our own Facebook, and I'm just wondering if, I mean, obviously we know, Laura, the fact that you're still recusing yourself, you're hoping for that, and you've had the position before, so I mean, realistically speaking, that just leaves a not full board. So I'm just wondering if that's not something you wouldn't want the Friends to put out. Because a lot of people that like pay money around here to be part of the Friends that would be interested in being part of the board. So, just a thought, I know you can't respond, but perhaps.
Thanks.
I'm responding also to in my mind, it's a big deja vu, because this was discussed 30 years ago when I was on board as it being a deja vu issue then. And one of the things we explored, and I was forming a district library, and that would maybe paying the same as city residents. It'd be a hard sell, because you have to be your own taxing authority. The upside of that was city council could relieve themselves of a duty of oversight that they seem to really want, from what I understand. This is kind of a nuisance, debit on their balance sheet. They don't see this as the asset that it is. But I suggest you form a committee. You can't make or take action as a committee, but you can take recommendations back to the board as a whole. But I don't remember exactly all the law and the whatever, but I think it's worth it. That we kind of had a meeting which basically kind of turned that idea down, because they already had the best deal in town for library services, like they do now too. They just don't know it. So I think it could be sold if the right material put out and were able and somehow got on a ballot. I think it could be done.
Thanks for that.
Oh, I thought so. I thought so 30 years ago.
Any other general comments from our visitors? All right. Okay, well, seeing none, we'll move on to board comments.
Well, I just wanted to respond to, comments about the minutes. I take full responsibility for that, because I went on vacation after the meeting and it's not part of my regular routine, and then it took me a while when we got back. So I'm so very sorry that the minutes were late, and it is my fault that they just reflect visitor comments. I do not understand, as in not having been trained in this, what I have to record, what I don't. So those things are totally my fault. So I apologize.
Well, I will make that, I mean, the minutes of meeting based on state laws are much less than what we provide, much less than what we provide. So, I mean, basically we only have to say what time it started, who's there, and what motions were made and approved.
Where it's at.
And where it is.
That's everything.
Yes, they could be very much more bare bones, so that's what I want to say about that. I mean, you could still feel a certain way or not.
Yeah, I think we have a board policy. We try to include at least an outline of the discussion. I included an outline of the comments here. Some, in the past, those were motioned to be taken off.
I never did, because, yeah, when I started with, but it's come, I guess, shifted.
Well, that's what I was under that, so.
Yeah, no, it was, okay.
I agree that that could be frustrating, but in some ways, it also might be frustrating to have somebody else summarize
Exactly.
your thoughts and feelings,
Right.
maybe inaccurately.
Exactly. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I think that's why they're taken off in the past.
Yeah, just for the sake of also responding, well, I guess, and if someone could help me with it, making a motion, seconding a motion. There's nothing in making a motion or seconding a motion that says you agree with it or just getting it out there for action,
So,
correct?
You can vote against a motion that you
Okay.
make or second. Yeah.
Okay, I just
Or
wanted
that
to-
you weren't there for
Or
the
that you weren't there,
discussion.
okay.
Yeah.
That's what I thought too, I just wanted to get that out there as well. And then as far as, wait, anything else, word comments, as far as, library board members, any member of the town who wants to serve on the board should apply. I mean, if anybody's interested, you can have an application in, you can be on file for, and they can just sit on file, right? So I mean,
I think so.
It goes through the mayor, doesn't it? Yeah, they just have to, there's a general form for serving on boards, you just have to submit it to the city. I did that for a couple of boards a while ago, and it just says what board you're interested in,
Yeah.
and then you just submit it, yeah.
yeah, so I mean, I say if you know people who are interested, encourage them.
I do, yeah.
That's the, that's not, yeah.
But again, it's the mayor's prerogative to appoint, you know, that board.
Right, and the city has to approve it,
Yeah.
the council has to, okay. Okay, any other comments?
Yeah, so on the, agree with what was said about the contract. I also don't think parity is right, but I don't know if I'm willing to break the contract over the inflation adjustment, but it just seems so unreasonable to not,
Yes.
even if it's 1%, is a little bit of goodwill would be really nice. For the idea of forming a district library, we run into the same issue. So
Okay.
all of the municipalities under the district library have to contract at the political level, so through their boards. I could be wrong, but I don't know of a referendum ability for that. So then we would be in the same situation with Hillsdale and Jefferson. Their boards would have to adopt a resolution with the city, and then we would be under the same taxing jurisdiction. So right now, they're not willing to spend $8,800. We would have to have parity with taxation, which would be for us 1 mil, 0.99 mils. So they would have to consent to the same level of taxation. Would be, we'd get another $100,000 a year for the library, parity there, which might be nice, but I do think if we're having this battle, then getting the township board to agree with that might be difficult. On the question of whether the council thinks this is an asset, I think pretty unanimously, everyone on council thinks the library is one of the best things the city does, besides maybe infrastructure and police. So I don't know that they would be willing to give this up. It's not really red on the city's balance sheets ever. It pays for everything. In fact, the city is now charging a few $1,000s more to make sure that it's not in the red.
Yeah.
But that would also create the complication of selling these assets, which are owned by the city, to the district library, which doesn't have a fund, plus the transfer of our ample investment assets to the district library.